Welcome to Netmock IAS. In today's session, we decode the architecture of the 2026 Rajya Sabha elections. This is one of the most significant biennial election cycles in recent memory, and understanding its mechanics is absolutely essential for your UPSC preparation. The focus here is on electoral mechanics, constitutional foundations, and the political output of these elections. Let's begin. Here's the big picture. In the March 2026 biennial election cycle, 37 Rajya Sabha seats are up for grabs across 10 participating states. The election date is the 16th of March, 2026. This represents one of the largest single election cycles for the upper house in recent years, featuring high-stakes contests in key states like Haryana, Odisha, and Bihar. The sheer scale of this cycle makes it a critical event for understanding India's federal power dynamics. Now let's understand the structural foundation. Article 80 of the Indian Constitution mandates a fixed composition of 245 members in the Rajya Sabha. Of these, 233 are elected by the state and union territory legislative assemblies, while 12 are nominated by the President. These nominated members are reserved for expertise in literature, science, art, and social service under Article 80, Clause 1, Subclause A. The House was originally constituted on the 3rd of April, 1952. The Council of States provides a permanent, indirect federal counterbalance to popular representation. Look at this comparison. The Rajya Sabha is a permanent body that is never dissolved, while the Lok Sabha is dissolved at the end of its term. The mode of election is indirect, through MLAs, unlike the Lok Sabha where citizens vote directly. One-third of Rajya Sabha members are replaced every 2 years, whereas the entire Lok Sabha is replaced every 5 years. The primary purpose of the Rajya Sabha is federal and state representation, while the Lok Sabha serves popular and demographic representation. 5 distinct constitutional pillars govern the mechanics of the upper house. First, Article 83, Clause 1 establishes the House as a permanent body not subject to dissolution. Second, Article 89 mandates the Vice President as the ex officio chairman. Third, Article 84 establishes member qualifications, requiring them to be an Indian citizen and at least 30 years of age. Fourth, Article 80 defines the 245-member composition. And fifth, the fourth schedule dictates the state-wise seat allocation. These are your 5 pillars, remember them. Article 83, Clause 1 creates a perpetual institutional engine through a biennial replacement cycle. Unlike the Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha is never fully dissolved. Biennial elections are the engine that refreshes the House while maintaining unbroken continuity. Every 2 years, one-third of the members retire and new members are elected to replace them. This ensures that institutional memory is preserved while still allowing democratic renewal. Now, who actually votes in a Rajya Sabha election? State Legislative Assembly members function as the exclusive electoral college. It is an indirect election. State MLAs cast their votes, and the system used is proportional representation by means of the single transferable vote, or STV. Voters in this election are exclusively state MLAs. They do not vote for a single candidate but rather rank all candidates in order of preference. This is a crucial distinction from general elections. Here's an important reform. To prevent cross-voting, the secret ballot was replaced with a mandated open ballot system. Under the old secret ballot system, MLAs could secretly vote against their party's candidate, which was a major vulnerability. The open ballot system requires MLAs to show their ballot to their party's authorized agent before casting it. The Supreme Court validated this open ballot mechanism in the landmark case of Kuldeep Nair versus Union of India in 2006, ruling it essential to maintain party discipline and electoral integrity. Securing a Rajya Sabha seat requires crossing a strict mathematical threshold known as the quota. The formula is straightforward but elegant. You take the total valid votes, which is the total number of participating MLAs, divide it by the number of seats plus 1, and then add 1. This ensures that the threshold is mathematically impossible for losing candidates to reach. This quota system guarantees that only candidates with genuine proportional support can win. The single transferable vote, or STV, ensures no vote is wasted if first preferences fall short. The process works in 3 steps. In the first count, if a candidate hits the quota formula, they are elected immediately. In the elimination step, if seats remain unfilled, the lowest performing candidate is eliminated. In the transfer step, the eliminated candidates' votes are transferred to surviving candidates based on the preference to marked on those specific ballots. This process repeats until all seats are filled. Now let's look at the state-wise distribution. 3 states hold the balance of power, accounting for nearly half of the available seats. Maharashtra leads with 7 seats, followed by Tamil Nadu with 6. West Bengal and Bihar each have 5 seats, Odisha has 4, and Assam has 3. The remaining seats are distributed among Chhattisgarh, Haryana, Telangana with 2 each, and Himachal Pradesh with 1. The total comes to 37 seats. The arithmetic of these 37 seats directly controls the gateway to constitutional amendments. The NDA currently holds a near majority, but the 2/3 majority required for constitutional amendments remains the crucial threshold. Because the Rajya Sabha holds equal power with the Lok Sabha in amending the constitution, this biennial election is the ultimate legislative bottleneck. The composition changes in these 10 states will define the ruling coalition's ability to execute systemic legislative changes. Finally, let's map this to your UPSC preparation. For constitutional mechanics in prelims, focus on the STV formula, open ballot versus secret ballot, and Article 80 composition. For judicial precedent in mains, study electoral integrity and party whip limits through the Kuldeep Nair case. For federal structure in GS Paper 2, analyze the Rajya Sabha's effectiveness as an indirect federal counterbalance. That concludes our analysis of the Rajya Sabha elections. Our second topic is a landmark development in India's maritime infrastructure. The digital twin revolution at VO Chidambarnar port represents a macroeconomic shift toward tech-enabled maritime infrastructure in India, carrying enormous significance for infrastructure, governance, and technology in your UPSC syllabus. March 2026 marks the virtualization of India's maritime operations. VO Chidambarnar Port Authority, formerly Tuticorin Port, has implemented India's first digital twin platform for port management, inaugurated by Union Minister Sarbananda Sonowal. This is not just a software upgrade. It is the first time a major Indian port has achieved perfect parity between its physical operations and a real-time virtual environment. The digital twin concept originated in 2002 with Michael Greaves at the University of Michigan as a framework for product lifecycle management. NASA adopted it for spacecraft simulations beyond physical reach. Today's modern twin, driven by IoT, AI, machine learning, and cloud computing, functions as a virtual replica continuously updated with real-time data. India is now applying this aerospace-grade technology to maritime logistics. The architecture creates a living, breathing feedback loop. The physical port streams real-time data through IoT sensors. The virtual replica processes 3D models and runs predictive algorithms. At the center, actionable outputs are generated, including predictive maintenance, capacity scenario planning, and emergency response protocols. Data flows continuously in both directions, creating a self-improving system. The digital twin delivers operational leverage across 3 domains. Cargo and movement optimization reduces vessel turnaround time. Infrastructure lifespan is extended through predictive maintenance replacing reactive repairs. And security and planning capabilities are enhanced through advanced scenario simulation and immediate anomaly detection. VO Chidambarnar Port sits in Thoothukudi, Tamil Nadu, one of India's 12 major ports under the central government. It handles coal, salt, copper concentrate, petroleum, fertilizers, and containerized goods. The port is named after freedom fighter VO Chidambarnar, who founded the Swadeshi Steam Navigation Company in 1906, directly challenging the British shipping monopoly. Today, the port challenges logistical inefficiencies through technology. India's logistics cost drains 13 to 14% of GDP compared to 8 to 10% for developed nations. The National Logistics Policy of September 2022 targets bringing this down to 8%. India's 12 major ports handle 55% of maritime cargo, with about 200 minor ports handling the rest. Digital twins at major ports directly attack this cost drag and are essential for global export competitiveness. The legislative foundation has been rewired. The colonial-era Major Port Trusts Act of 1963 is replaced by the Major Port Authorities Act of 2021. This brings greater governance autonomy, simplified PPE investment models with independent bond-raising powers, and a dedicated adjudicatory board for rapid dispute resolution replacing prolonged legal battles. The physical base is being upgraded through Maritime India Vision 2030 and Sagarmala. 4 pillars, capital infusion of 1 to 2 lakh crore for port modernization. Industrialization through coastal economic zones. Connectivity via dedicated freight corridors, coastal shipping, and inland waterways under the National Waterways Act 2016. And community development alongside industrial expansion. PM Gati Shakti, launched October 2021, is the national master plan creating synchronized multimodal connectivity across rail, road, and sea. ULIP, the Unified Logistics Interface Platform, is the data exchange layer ensuring real-time sharing across all logistics stakeholders. Together they form the digital nervous system of India's logistics architecture. India is building a multi-layered national infrastructure stack. The base layer is Sagarmala and national waterways providing physical infrastructure. The middle layer is Gati Shakti and ULIP for data integration and multimodal connectivity. The apex layer is digital twins and AI at VOC port for optimization and intelligence. Each layer builds on the one below. For UPSC, this maps to 3 frameworks. Economy, attacking the 14% logistics drag to achieve the 8% target. Science and technology, digital twins as the next phase of DPI, virtualizing industrial infrastructure. GS Paper 3, the VOC port milestone as the manifestation of the Major Port Authorities Act 2021 and Maritime India Vision 2030 working together. Our third topic is a major geopolitical flashpoint. The Iranian Succession Crisis of 2026 examines the ascension of Mojtaba Khamenei and its global strategic fallout. This directly impacts Middle East security, global energy markets, and India's relationships with the Gulf region. The timeline. 28 February 2026, US and Israeli strikes result in the assassination of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei during active regional war. March 1st to 8th, a week of silent, intense power brokering within the regime. 9th March 2026, the Assembly of Experts formally appoints Mojtaba Khamenei as the third supreme leader. 9 days from strike to succession. Iran's power architecture centers on the supreme leader, the Rahbar, the highest political and religious authority under the 1979 constitution. The supreme leader controls the military, judiciary, state media, and holds legislative veto power. The Assembly of Experts, 88 Islamic scholars elected for 8-year terms, selects the supreme leader. The public elects the assembly, which selects the leader. A layered theocratic structure. Mojtaba Khamenei held no formal government positions. He is a 56-year-old hardline cleric, the second son of Ali Khamenei. But his institutional power base was immense, with deep ties to the IRGC, the buses paramilitary, and the state intelligence apparatus. He governed from the shadows. His ascension codifies military and intelligence supremacy over religious bureaucracy. 3 eras of leadership. Khomeini from 1979 to 1989 was the founder, powered by revolution and charisma, fiercely anti-monarchy. Ali Khamenei from 1989 to 2026 was the consolidator, relying on institutional maneuvering and bureaucratic balancing. Mojtaba from 2026 is the dynast, claiming power through father-to-son succession backed by IRGC. The dynastic paradox, a son inheriting power directly contradicts the anti-monarchist revolution of 1979. On 12 March 2026, the first public statement came with a critical anomaly. It was read by a state TV anchor. No video or audio of Mojtaba was released, only a photograph. The declarations were explosive, an absolute vow of vengeance against the United States and Israel, and a binding pledge to close the Strait of Hormuz to global shipping. The Strait of Hormuz carries 20 to 25% of the total global oil supply. Closure guarantees an immediate, catastrophic shock to global energy markets. 1/4 of the world's oil through one narrow waterway. A closure would send oil prices skyrocketing, trigger global inflation, and reshape trade routes. This is not theoretical, it is being actively pursued by the new Iranian leadership. For India, 4 critical dimensions. Energy security. Heavy Gulf crude reliance means all shocks threaten inflation and industrial output. Diaspora safety. Contingencies needed for 8 million plus Indians across Gulf states. Infrastructure. The Chabhar port, India's Central Asia gateway, is threatened. Multi-alignment diplomacy. The delicate balance between US, Israel, and Iran relationships has collapsed. Mojtaba's ascension marks Iran's transition from a religiously guided theocracy to a militarist, dynastic autocracy. With IRGC controlling the apex during active war, regional deterrence protocols are fundamentally altered. The directive, prepare for protracted energy volatility and immediate diaspora contingency frameworks. For UPSC, this maps to international relations, energy security, and multi-alignment strategy. Our 4th topic examines the national climate stack, engineering climate resilience for Indian agriculture. This is an analysis of NABARD's 2026 Innovation Challenge and the next evolution of digital public infrastructure, where technology meets agriculture meets climate change. India faces the agrarian paradox. Agriculture employs 42% of the workforce but contributes only 18% to GDP, remaining highly monsoon-dependent. Annual losses from climate disasters reach $80 to $100 billion. Groundwater depletion is at severe risk in Punjab and Haryana. Shifting monsoon patterns and rising temperatures are reducing wheat and rice yields alongside soil degradation. The concept mirrors India's successful DPI model. The India stack used Aadhaar, UPI, and DigiLocker to democratize financial access. The national climate stack applies the same layered architecture for agriculture, satellite data, weather sensors, and soil metrics feeding into data aggregation, predictive analytics, and targeted advisory. The goal is democratized access to decision-ready climate intelligence. 3 layers. Layer 1, the input matrix, satellite imagery, hyperlocal weather stations, soil sensors, crop models, and historical yield data. Layer 2, the integration engine, a unified platform processing environmental data against economic risk models. Layer 3, decision-ready outputs, targeted, context-specific insights for stakeholders across the agricultural value chain. From fragmented silos to a unified analytical engine. The catalyst is NABARD's 2026 Innovation Challenge, a consortium with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Dalbid Advisors. Open from 6th March to 27th March, 2026, targeting research institutions, universities, agri-tech startups, and independent innovators. Prize tiers 15 lakh, 10 lakh, and 5 lakh rupees. This is crowdsourcing the application layer for agricultural resilience. 4 focus areas aligned with end users. Localized hazard prediction for government planners enabling proactive disaster preparation. Farmer-facing advisory tools delivering actionable intelligence for crop protection. Climate risk assessment de-risking rural lending for banks and insurers. And policy dashboards empowering district authorities with hyperlocal climate action capabilities. Nabarth bridges grassroots agriculture with global climate finance through 3 pillars. Apex Finance Hub as India's premier agricultural development finance institution. Global Climate Node as the national implementing entity for the Green Climate Fund and Adaptation Fund. And legacy execution with proven track records in watershed development, climate adaptation projects, and the Farm Sector Promotion Fund. The climate stack integrates with 4 major missions. PMFBY for crop insurance with hyperaccurate climate risk assessments. PM Kusum for solar agriculture optimization. NAPT and state action plans informed via district-level dashboards. And Paris Agreement NDCs, tracking India's grassroots climate adaptation on the global stage. For UPSC GS Paper 3, 3 dimensions. Economic resilience, shifting rural lending from unpredictable risk to data-backed underwriting. Environmental adaptation, moving from reactive disaster relief absorbing $80 billion to proactive localized adaptation. Technological governance, proving India's DPI model can evolve beyond finance to solve physical world survival challenges. Our final topic is a historic sporting initiative. The 2026 Khelo India Tribal Games is India's first-ever national sporting platform for indigenous athletes, empowering 104 million voices through sports. Sports policy, tribal welfare, and constitutional provisions converge here. India's indigenous heritage is vast but underrepresented in national sports. Over 104 million tribal people per the 2011 census, constituting 8.6% of the population, with 705 recognized scheduled tribes across 30 states and union territories. The Khelo India Tribal Games aims to change their sporting representation. A talent versus resource paradox exists. Raw aptitude in athletics, archery, football, and hockey is abundant, concentrated in Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, and the Northeast. But structural barriers, lack of infrastructure, coaching, and funding block the path to national representation. The Tribal Games is designed to be that missing bridge. The first ever Khelo India Tribal Games runs from 25th March to 6th April 2026 across 3 cities in Chhattisgarh, Raipur, Jagdalpur, and Sarguja. As Union Sports Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia stated, the goal is that no community is left behind. Kiteag is the 4th vertical of Khelo India since 2018. School games for grassroots youth talent. University games for higher education athletes. Winter games for alpine and snow sports. And now tribal games for indigenous athletes and heritage sports. The most targeted demographic vertical yet, focused on marginalized inclusion and heritage preservation. Chhattisgarh was chosen because indigenous heritage is foundational to its identity. With 30.6% tribal population, 42 recognized scheduled tribes, and 5 particularly vulnerable tribal groups including the Abujmaria, Baga, Birhor, Kamar, and Paharhi Korwa. The games are embedded within the communities they aim to empower. 3 cities selected strategically. Jagdalpur in Bastar, heartland of the Gond, Maria, and Muria tribes, for deep cultural integration. Sarguja in the northern highlands, heartland of Orao, Korwa, and Pandu tribes, for accessing geographically isolated talent. And Raipur, the state capital, providing logistics, transport, and modern sporting infrastructure. 2 categories of disciplines. Modern competitive integration includes athletics, archery, football, hockey, and kabaddi, targeting national and international podiums. Indigenous sporting heritage preserves traditional tribal sports. This dual structure bridges global competitive standards with centuries-old indigenous traditions. The constitutional foundation includes the 5th and 6th schedules for tribal area administration, Articles 244 and 275 for welfare provisions and central grants, Article 342 for scheduled tribe designation by the President, and the PESA Act of 1996 extending local self-governance to tribal areas. Kittig is the newest cultural extension of India's constitutional mandate for tribal self-determination. Kittig fits within a comprehensive ecosystem. Education through Eklavya Model Residential Schools targeting 740 by 2026. Economic development via TRIFT and Van Dhan Vikas Karyakram. Infrastructure through PMAJI developing model tribal villages. Rights protection via the Forest Rights Act 2006. The Tribal Games adds the sports and youth vertical. For UPSC, Kittig sits at the intersection of sports governance through Khelo India schemes, social justice through mainstreaming vulnerable sections, and constitutional rights through CENT provisions. It transforms from a singular sports event into a multidimensional policy intervention, exactly the convergence topic that appears in Prelims and Mains. To wrap up, the 2026 Khelo India Tribal Games will not just discover athletes. It will permanently integrate 104 million voices into the mainstream narrative of a rising India, transforming potential into podium. That's all for today's current affairs. Revise all 5 topics and connect them to your UPSC syllabus. Subscribe to Netmock IAS for daily updates. See you next time.